One thing we haven't touched on enough yet from last night's game was Ty Jerome becoming Ty Jerome again in the fourth quarter. He scored a career-high 15 points in the fourth quarter. He had 26 points in the game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Another incredible bookmark kind of performance for Ty Jerome. I want to play you a clip from Kenny Atkinson in the postgame, and then I want to just dive into the fact that Ty Jerome continues to exceed every expectation possible that we had entering this season.
Mike, do we have Donovan Mitchell's clip too or no?
I do not have Donovan's.
Okay.
I can paraphrase what he said,
that
but
too.
I asked Kenny in the postgame, and the audio is, we take this off the TV so you can hear the question too. So the audio is not great, but you can still hear it. I basically asked Kenny, this is the 5th, 6th time this year where for a 5-minute stretch, Ty Jerome's become the greatest player on the face of the planet. Is there any indication that you can see this coming? Like, do you get any sense when these moments are about to happen? And then Kenny gave a great answer. So this is Kenny Atkinson on that, and bear with us for the audio.
Ty Jerome's had a couple of moments throughout the season where for a 6-7 minute stretch he becomes the greatest player in the world. do you get a sense, do you see anything in Ty that you can see those moments coming, that you know it's about to happen?
I mean, one of the coaches asked me, is like, was this the same guy? Did you see any of this in Golden State? I'm like, I saw none of this. I saw, cerebral point guard, set up point guard, get everybody involved, so it's really an amazing story how he's become this, like, he has Steph-like minutes sometimes. It's like, he's shooting 25 footers, he's getting steals, he's really taking over games. I think the crowd, what I feel is like the crowd starts feeling Ty, and that like elevates him, elevates everybody. It's one of the, kind of strangest things I've seen for a role player to get that kind of respect and get it going like that. It's really fun to watch.
Donovan Mitchell, guys, went on to say that we shouldn't be surprised anymore.
Right.
We spent the first half of the season basically saying, he can't keep this up, can he? And now I have no doubt. Like, I'm completely confident. I don't know about you guys.
Man.
I have 100% confidence in Ty Jerome right now.
I do, but not to do it every night. To me, it's sort of the David Fry thing. Remember when we were watching David Fry saying, well, this can't continue. There's no way this can continue. Mm-hmm. And then he came back to earth, but then in the playoffs he had those moments.
Yeah.
I think what we've learned is it's in him. And we shouldn't expect it every time he's out on the floor. And what I love of the many things I love about Kenny, this dude is so transparent.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, most coaches would say, this is what we saw in Golden State that we really thought we could tap into and pull more out of. No, he's like, guys, I don't know where this came from.
Hell no,
there was no tremor here. The earthquake just happened, and it's not even on a fault.
Yeah.
It's incredible how transparent he is.
So I asked Ty in the locker room after. I was like, hey, Kenny said he didn't see this coming. What do you say? He goes, well, it's because they didn't play me enough. And that was Ty's answer to that. So he said, this is always been me, but I'm also healthy. He's already played more games this season than he's ever played in an NBA season. Health plays a big factor. To your point of, can he keep this up? We'll find out. I have no reason not to believe at this point. I asked Jalen Tyson the same question I asked Kenny, and he goes, I've only been here 1 year, but this has been Ty since the first day I got here. He's been this level of player since I got here. And
but
here's
Mike,
a stat on Ty
if he
Jerome.
gets those minutes every night, he's not going to put up those numbers every night.
No, but
they haven't.
But he's capable of doing
for now,
it.
Unless somebody gets hurt, and knock on wood or whatever the hell we're knocking on.
Yeah.
We can't have any key injuries. Man. But every time he's had to play more minutes because Darius has been out and Donovan's been out. He's come through every single time.
This is give me a stat before I go, Mike. What you have?
I got 2 stats for you. You want the when he fills in stat first, or just the crazy?
I love that.
The crazy stat.
Yeah.
So in games where he's played 25 minutes this season, so fill in for starter minutes.
Right.
He's averaging 19.6.
How many games,
per game.
Mike? Sorry to cut you off.
He's played 9 games of over 25 minutes.
Okay, 9 games. Yeah.
19.6 points per game, 3 rebounds. 5 assists, 2 steals, shooting 59% from the floor and 53% from 3 in 9 games where he's played over 25
so
minutes.
That's a small size.
It is small, but he's playing at an all-star level in those situations.
Well, you know what
and here's the stat, just so I want to make sure I get this out there. Ty Jerome leads the NBA. Number 1 in the NBA.
This one's nuts.
On three-pointers between 25 and 29 feet. So that is not logo distance, but it is not on the line. So one step back. All players, Steph, Damian Lillard,
that's crazy.
Darius, Donovan, Carlton Towns, you name it. No player has made as many shots at the clip that he has made than Ty Jerome in that category.
What's the percentage there?
48%.
Jeez, it's incredible.
I'm telling
That's
you,
his hot zone.
I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest compliment I can give any coach. When we talk about we like free capitalism, we like laissez-faire, we don't like people to be putting restrictions on everything. When you got a coach who's willing, you notice he said, man, he got these Steph times where he just, pulling up from half court. First of all, you got to have the green light to even be able to get that off. First of all, a coach who lets a bench player get that off says a lot about his confidence level, right? And the fact that to even get to this point where he's throwing up floaters like this, and guess what? Donovan Mitchell is over there saying, all right, we'll pull up then. Like, it's not like he's on the floor with the twos. He's on the floor with Mobley, and he's on the floor with Donovan Mitchell, and he's still doing this. People, and this is why I always go crazy, this is what the Browns can learn from. Sometimes if you go about and you put confidence in people and you let people do their thing and play their game and play free and let them be who they are instead of trying to control everything down to a vice, you'll get people that develop out of nowhere. Think about this. Kenny Atkinson came in and said, all right, Evan Mobley, you take the ball court to court. So Evan Mobley's like, cool, I'll do that, and I'll shoot threes too. Ty Jerome, who cares? Go ahead. Sam Merrill even got the green light. Think about how many people got the green light on his team, and they just
Sam gets in stretches too, where you're like, this kid's unconscious.
Right.
And it's like, and I love the fact that he just didn't even no cap in his words, no cap at all. He said, man, I ain't see none of this.
I know, I love that too.
I wouldn't know.
Here's, I guess what I always think back to, I mentioned the David Fry comparison. The one guy that I was really slow to come around on because I just felt like it was fool's gold was Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
And he became a daily debate topic for us on First Take every day. I mean, and it was almost like exactly what Tim Tebow had become. And all the smart basketball minds, the Tim Leglers of the world, everybody that I really trusted at ESPN were telling me, this is smoke and mirrors. This is not sustainable. And then we would go into game 20. And then we would go into game 30. And I finally, after a long, long stretch of saying, I'm not going to believe this because my eyes aren't matching what my brain knows about basketball, about the time I bought in, he disappeared forever and always.
Right.
Mike, I'm not sure, you were probably in your teens when.
I remember Linsanity very well.
Okay, you were definitely not in college yet.
What year was Linsanity? It's 2008, right?
07, 08?
Yeah, I was in high school.
What the hell was that? And put my mind at ease that this is not going to happen here.
Okay, two comparisons first. Who was the coach of that Knicks team?
What am I, D'Antoni?
Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, well.
Guess who Kenny Atkinson is a protege of?
Is he in the tree?
He is in the Atlanta Mike D'Antoni tree. That was a perfect fit at the perfect time for a player and an offense. Jeremy Lin did one thing incredibly well.
Yes, he did.
And that was operate in the pick and roll. And he had a couple of bigs at that time that were the perfect role guys. And, yeah, he shot over his mind. And do I think for his career, is Ty a 50, 40, 90 guy career-wise? Probably not. Right. But I do think it's probably unfair for us to have an idea of what we thought Ty could be because he'd been hurt his whole career. We have never seen the full version of Ty Jerome at the NBA level. And what he's done this season in terms of, he's talked about it at length, changing his body. He's stronger now, more flexible to try and avoid injuries. His ability to do that little slow step, which he's almost mastered.
He really has.
Which is something that seems
move.
like an easy move. It's one of the hardest moves to pull off.
Right.
The body control that goes into running at full speed, then stopping on one ankle, letting the defender roll past. I have another stat for you. Do you guys know what B-ball index is?
Not sure.
It puts percentiles. It keeps track of every player in the league, percentiles, and can tell you this player in this particular instance is doing this.
Okay.
Right now this season, and I actually emailed the guy who runs it. His name's Tim Cranges. I hope I pronounced his last name wrong. We went back and forth this morning, so I needed some clarity because the stat's crazy. Ty Jerome this season, according to B-Ball Index, is in the 3rd percentile of shot quality, meaning he's taking only difficult shots at what they grade difficult shots. He's in the 100th percentile in terms of shot making. So I asked him, because I asked Ty about that last night too. I said, Ty, you're on the opposite end of the spectrums here. Tell me how that makes sense. And he goes, well, I take a lot of floaters. Those aren't considered good shots for most people, but for me, that's my bread and butter. That's the shot I'm most comfortable taking, even though they're not considered necessarily
So he's getting extra
shots.
Points for them. But for him, they're easy.
So I emailed the guy who runs B-Ball Index to get some clarity, and he's gave me how they determine good shots versus bad shots, but he said, you may like this stat. We've been doing this for 12 years. In the history of the 12-year database that we have accumulated, every player who plays 1 minute in the NBA is in this database. There have only been 82 players total in the top 5 percentile in shot making and the bottom 5 percentile in shot quality, which Ty Jerome is in this season. He is currently having the 22nd best season in that category in terms of differentiation between shot making and shot quality that B-Ball Index has recorded in the last dozen years.
See, that makes me that is one of the things that would make me question how sustainable this is.
I guess I'd have to know who else is in that top 20.
Yeah, were there other names that stood
Kevin
out?
Durant in 2021, 2022 had the largest differential. The other guys this season in the shot making versus shot quality, DeMar DeRozan, Jaren Jackson Jr., who we saw last night, Brandon Ingram. He's in the same category this season as Kyrie, Zion, Jalen Brunson, Durant, Wembanyama, and Anthony Simons.
It's all
of the
good
Blazers.
players.
They seem those players take.
It's elite company to be in.
It doesn't feel like he takes bad shots watching him
But
play.
do they count mid-range jumpers as a bad shot?
That's the worst shot in basketball.
Like, because Durant and Brunson and those guys and DeRozan shoot a lot of 16
But he can nail those jumpers.
Well, to his point, he goes, for me, floaters are a great shot for me.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from the overall spectrum, which all these websites have to look at as an umbrella because they're not taking into account individual players and stuff, a floater with the guy in your back is not a good shot.
Yeah.
But for Ty Jerome, it's a great shot.
Well, it's like the guy in baseball bull that for some reason can handle the cutter that no other hitter can handle, or the slider that no other hitter can, but can't handle cookies.
You'll often see a mediocre or worse hitter. You'll see a Greg Maddux or a guy like that say,
so-and-so, which nobody had the most success against.
I couldn't get him out.
How do you explain it? Well, he's the Ty Jerome of baseball.
But what I would say about Ty Jerome is that, and I don't know this for sure, but let's say Ty Jerome, some bad team offers him a big contract next year, and he goes to be the starting point guard in some bad team.
He may not.
I don't think he's going to be that good. I don't know if you're, agree.
But
in this role, he's perfect.
That's what I like most about what you said about the Lynn comparison. With that team in that system, and I mean, they obviously prioritized pick and roll more once they realized what they had, but you change the parts around, and you take him and put him in a different offense altogether with different pieces, and all of a sudden it's like it's the clock struck midnight and the ruby slippers are gone.
These guys are the key to beating the Celtics. When you watch the Celtics play, there's a lot of times that it's not Tatum and Brown that get you. It's the Derek Whites. It's the Drew Holidays. It's the Pritchards.
Don't let those guys get hot.
If you give them 20, it's an equation. If you give them 20, that means you gotta hold one of them other dudes to 12 or 13. And what's the likelihood of that happening?
That's hard.
And so my thing is, I take a look at it. If the Cavs want to win a championship, you're gonna have to look at it. There's gonna be certain games. Sam Merrill's gonna have to be 4 or 5 from 3. He doesn't have to give you 20 plus points, but you're still going to look for Ty Jerome to give you 17. DeAndre Hunter's going to have 22, 23 one of these games. So those are the guys that really help you win the games. And I like the fact that they're getting those reps now against the Memphis Grizzlies team. They're getting those reps against somebody that really counts. And they getting them in a place where guys like Darius Garland are off the floor. That's a valuable experience.
One last thing, Mike, I'd like to say, and I'm kind of talking out my you-know-what because I'm not with the team as much. You're with the team all the time. Well, as much as any media member can be because you're at all the home games. It seems to me, from an outsider's perspective, that, yes, we've talked a lot about Kenny Atkinson. He's done an amazing job. Got zero negative to say about him. We've talked about Evan Mobley's progress and Ty Jerome's progress. But I think a lot of this in conjunction with Kenny Atkinson, goes back to Donovan Mitchell as the leader of this team, building the confidence in all the players around him. Mm-hmm. First of all, Ty Jerome, they're friends since they're kids. I think that has to mean something. Ty Jerome is finally in a spot where he's comfortable. He's played for other teams. He didn't have these relationships. He knew that the best player on the Cavs knew he could play.
Yeah.
And that Donovan was going to believe in him. And Donovan, I think, gets at least a tiny bit of credit for the improvement of Evan Mobley. Sure. Again, most of the credit to Mobley, and certainly, but I think Donovan Mitchell is such a great leader that he makes the guys around him believe that they can get it done, and that's a big part of why they're having such success.
Because he's not selfish.
He's one of the least selfish
sharing
superstars
the spotlight,
ever.
And that's how you win a title.
He wants to win.
Darius Garland
and
Allen could have been gone. Darius Garland and Allen could have been gone this offseason if it went for
and thankfully it didn't happen.
Like, no.
Last point on Ty Jerome, then we'll move on. And
do you agree with what I said, Mike? Do you buy that or no?
I do.
Okay.
In terms of, because we got a ton of questions after last night.
Yeah.
Can the Cavs re-sign Ty Jerome?
Yeah.
The answer is, I actually think it's pretty likely they will.
Good.
Because of two things. A, they have early bird rights, so they can pay a little over what expected. And the other thing is, there are not a lot of teams that have cap space and a starting job available. So if Brooklyn wants to throw him a ton of money, the Cavs can't match it. If he wants to start because this is one chance to get a giant payday, then the Cavs probably out of luck in that regard. However, you talk about his relationship with Donovan Mitchell, growing up with Donovan. DeAndre Hunter is his best friend.
Yep.
Kobe Altman loved him coming out of the draft. Kobe Altman has not been shy. He admitted it to us. He's talked about it at length that he's tried to get Ty Jerome 3 or 4 times now. He's in a situation with Kenny Atkinson, who he has a coach who believes in his talents, in his skill sets. I'm not sure there's a better position. Actually, no, for a fact, there's not a better position in the NBA for Ty Jerome to continue his ascent into being a perennial 6th man of the year, borderline starter level player. And sure, if he needs not needs the money, but if he wants to get the biggest paycheck available, there are a few teams that could offer more money than Cleveland, but it's not significant. And I do think the fact that it will be within the realm of a couple $1 million here or there, maybe $10 million over the course of the contract over multiple seasons, the relationships he has built in Cleveland with the guys he grew up with the guys he went to college with, and with the GM and coach who believe in him unlike any other, I think gives the Cavs a legitimate chance to re-sign him.
Yeah,
do you think Mike, he is going to win 6th man of the year? Is he where is he?
I don't think he's going to win it, but they made a point last night saying in the broadcast that there are guys that have more impressive numbers, but the line was, I don't think there's any 6th man of the year that has more impact on winning.
I think
I would say that's true.
The top 3 in Vegas right now are Peyton Pritchard.
Yep.
Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter.
They're going to cancel each other out.
So.
They're going to cancel each other out. I was going to say that earlier. Especially, that's why I kind of wanted Hunter to start because I'm like, well, look, he was averaging 19 points off the bench. He was the highest scorer.
Yeah.
And now Ty Jerome has come along. So now it's like they kind of cancel each other out in terms of votes. But he's playing like one of the best guys off the bench.
Well, the fact that you have 2 6th man of the year candidates on the same roster speaks to what we were talking about before, what the point you made. Every team has the duo of superstars. Every team that's in contention, they have the 2 guys that on any given night can just blow your doors off. It really is right now in the NBA about the accessories, about the other pieces.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this Cavs team so much with Hunter and with Jerome. And, Allen's not a tent pole, but he's a great accessory to have. In playoff series where every point is so critical and every defensive stand is so important, they've got the tools, the clubs in the bag to play a complete round against anybody.
Even